Welcome back, fellow beer geeks, to another episode of Conservative Beer Reviews. Before I get into the beer today, I've got a special treat for you today. It's a little gift I'm borrowing from my buddy. It is a Car CW45. So I'll kind of give you my thoughts on this. Do a pressure check here. See, it's not loaded. Magazine's empty. So this particular gun, I love how sexy it is. It's really nice, and it's got a really, let me see if I can do this, really nice trigger pull, and I'll just kind of bring it up. Goes all the way back, and it's so smooth, and then it breaks. So all the way forward, all the way back, and it's a really glassy, smooth trigger. Car is known for their triggers, and this one's no different. It holds, it looks like 7 rounds of 45. Oh, it says right there 45-7. So 7 rounds of 45 in the official Car magazine. The one thing I do complain about on this gun, since I've shot it a couple times, is this stippling on the back digs into my hand. So like, I'm just gonna grip it really tight because like with a pushback on it, it'll dig in. And you can see on my hand the stippling right there. And so when you're shooting it, that really digs in. And after about, even on my fingers, you see that on my fingers? Because it's on the front too. And after about 2 or 3 magazines, it starts to get a little cumbersome. Now I realize this is meant to be a carry weapon, and so I don't think you're going to be firing 2 or 3 magazines out of this. In fact, you might be lucky to get through one, unless you just do a mag dump. But I think the idea is to try to stop the threat as quickly as possible. And in any instance, you're not going to be worried about any stippling on your fingers when you get into that situation. But as a range toy, that does detract from the experience quite a bit. Takedown is actually pretty easy on this. A lot of people can't get this right, but so there's 2 indents. I swear to God, this isn't the gun review, but there's 2 indents. There's one on the frame that you can't see. Oh, my light just turned on. You're gonna turn back on light? Anyways, so you line the 2 indents up, which happens about right there, and then on the back, there's a little push pin. And so you just push that out, and then you can just pull it out like that, and then you pull the trigger. You have to make sure it's unloaded, of course, dummy. You don't want to ever do that. And then you can just field strip it down like that. So real easy, and then real easy to put back together too. So I guess this is kind of like a quick gun review. I did not intend for this to be a gun review, but that's okay. We're on the Conservative Beer channel, so plus it's my channel. I get to do what I want. Shut up, stupid. So, and then you just line up the indents again, and you put that in, and voila, we're back in action. 30 round magazine caliber clip. California. All right. So, onto the beer, guys. My final thoughts on that pistol, though. If you need a 45 to carry around, I have had a couple failures on it. In about 40 rounds, 50 rounds, I've shot through it. But if you need a good sidearm, that's a 45 caliber weapon. It's pretty decent. I still would personally go for the Glock 36, but if you can't quite afford it yet, that Car is a nice step to that destination, and the trigger is glassy smooth. So thanks to my buddy for lending that to me. I don't really want to give it back, but I'm gonna have to. So on to beer. Melcher Street by Trillium this morning. This one has sat around in my cellar a little bit longer than it should have. I got it sent fresh. My buddies are pretty good that trade me IPAs from the New England area because they know how important IPA freshness is. And so I did end up getting this, I believe, like the first week in April, and this is canned on 3/7. So it's my personal fault that I kind of let this sit at the back of my fridge for so long. And it's almost July, so we're almost sitting at 4 months. So we're gonna see how well this is held up. I've had Melcher Street half a dozen times. It's a very, very good IPA. So I'm just gonna crack this can. Oh, and so the story behind this glass, real quickly, Ellipsis Brewing in Orlando, Florida. I've never been there, but I was in this thing on beeradvocate.com like a while back, and it was called Beer It Forward, and that was the first and last time that I would ever participate in one of those things. So it seems like a fun thing because you send a box to somebody and you keep them guessing because you don't tell who you're sending the box to, but you drop a bunch of hints. And you send the box, and then when the person gets it, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was, X person the whole time, And there's like a pool of like 30 people. Kind of, it's kind of fun, but so this guy actually ran the thread. I messaged him long before it all started, and they said, I just got back from Florida, and when I go on beer trips, I make them big. Like, I'm talking like a full trunk of beer. Like, not just a trunk, but like my wife's SUV, the hatchback gate, like lifts up. Like, the entire back end was stacked end to end with cases of beer. And so we pretty much swept this state of Florida. And while I know there's a lot of beer in Florida, I got the bases covered that I felt I needed to get covered. Well, this guy in his grand wisdom said, you're not going to tell me what to do, and he decided to pick himself to send to me since I was the new guy. Don't know if that's some kind of hazing thing or what, but anyways, he sent me a box of old, nasty-ass IPA. I mean, this stuff was like 4, 5, 6, 7 months old. There was one that was a year old in there. He sent like one bomber of good stout, and then the rest was just total garbage. Like, every can I opened, I kept an open mind. I was like, well, maybe it's still good up to this point, but every can I was cracking, like, I drink it and I'm like, dude, that tastes like piss and onions and garlic and oxidized hops. Like, it was disgusting. I was pissed. So I got on the forums and I called him out for it. I said, dude, like, what the hell is your problem? You're the thread runner. You've done this multiple times. Why did you send me such a bad box? And I put a lot of love and dedication to carry into my box. I sent a whole bunch of really awesome beer to my person. And dude, I felt like I got ripped off. Especially since he said, I'm going to send 50 pounds of beer. And he was bragging to the forum about his box being the biggest box. Well, it was physically, but the shipping label said 20 pounds, and the beer inside reflected that. And so when I got on there and called him out, apparently it's some kind of like clique, because they all just grouped together and just started attacking me. And they're just like, you're new here, how dare you call him out on this? I'm like, because he's an asshole. He sent a shitty box. If he sent it to someone else, I would have gotten on and said, hey, dude, what the hell, man? What's up with that? It was nonstop. And it wasn't just that thread. They'd follow me around and post on other things. I'm like, dude, y'all are just toxic. They're just toxic people, man. And so, but being the bulldog that I am, I kept fighting, my stance on it. And it seemed like the more I fought, the worse it got. More people jumped on, and I even tried to do a trade later on with somebody else that was from that Beer It Forward, and they decided to make a mockery out of my box, and it was just a mess. So anyways, toxic. If you ever get on Beer Advocate, some people have success with Beer It Forwards, but coming from me, I'm going to tell you, do not do beer forwards because they are super toxic people. They might be nice at the outset, but if there's something they don't like about you, they will try to destroy your beer advocate presence or whatever. It's ridiculous. Anyways, so onto this beer now that it's at room temperature. Gonna go ahead and pour this. So I have mixed feelings about this glass, but I felt like this glass would best display this beer today. So we've got like a naturally hazy, juicy color with about a pinky finger of off-white head. Not too bad. Looking exactly to spec. Going to give it the sniff test. Yep. Oh man. Yeah, so aroma is just tons of freshly peeled oranges. There's a little bit of grapefruit in there. Lots of mango, pineapple. Oh, and cantaloupe. A ton of cantaloupe. Actually, that's probably the second biggest aroma descriptor. So we've got freshly peeled orange. Excuse me. Freshly peeled orange and lots of diced cantaloupe. And there's just like a hint of herbalness, and herbalness, is that a word? There's a hint of herb in there, as well as just a little bit of perhaps strawberry. Yeah, there's strawberry in there, and then the grapefruit that I mentioned earlier. So very cool. Let's give it a taste. Oh, that's delicious. Flavor reflects the nose quite a bit. Freshly peeled oranges. I'm actually getting quite a bit of mango. Lots of mango. Lots of mango in this one. So lots of freshly peeled orange, mango, cantaloupe, the melon. Yeah, and then like the bitter white grapefruit, but the bitter peel of the grapefruit comes in and then it disappears. It just flies away. It comes in real quick and it stabs the palate, leaves a little coating, and then runs. I like that. That's really nice. There has to be a balance in an IPA. It can't taste 100% like orange juice when you're talking about New England style, but it should be like hoppy orange juice, like bitter, nice, fruity, like a fruity milkshake, but it has to have a bitter balance to it, and that's the main thing. And so that just, it comes in, it stabs, and it leaves, and I like that. Very acidic and very juicy while still maintaining a pretty decent creaminess. The carbonation level is moderate. Alcohol, warming alcohol is moderate. 7.2%. I was going to guess about a 6.6 or 6.5. So less than I perceived. So moderate to mild perceivable alcohol for the alcohol by volume. It's got a little bit of resins, and then the alcohol dryness actually comes up in the throat at the end. So very interesting, complex, lots of layers. So final thoughts. The appearance, I'm going to give a 4.25. The aroma is a 4.25. The flavor is a 4.25. The feel is a 4.25. Guess what? The final score is a 4.25. You are smart if you guessed that. Wow. So, long story short, I know everybody can't get Trillium and most people can't, and that's okay. You kind of have to learn how to develop and find people online who are willing to trade with you and develop an online persona a little bit. The beer community as a whole, I'm going to get up on a soapbox here, the beer community as a whole, to tie into earlier, can be extremely, extremely snobbish, toxic, and evil. And I say that with the utmost sobriety of thought. The beer community is largely made up of liberal, whiny, picky, snobby people who are the same type of people at your job who will tell you what to do but never lift a finger to do anything themselves. They love giving orders, but they will never take them. Total hypocrites, almost every single one of them. Now, are there conservative beer drinkers in beer communities like myself? Yes. But you'll never know who we are, because the second that we come out and stand up for what we believe in, then they swarm you like a bunch of catty. It's like a stupid country club. Like, they just swarm you, and they're all catty and gossipy and me. They're bad. So for that reason, I actually don't hang out with a lot of craft beer drinkers, because I can't stand them. I really can't. I can't stand them. They're too catty. They're too gossipy. As soon as I start to hear gossip, I split. I don't like that kind of shit, man. I don't deal with that. I wouldn't want someone gossiping about me if it's a person that, I know and love, and I'm talking to my wife about someone, like maybe, but, never to cut somebody down and throw the rug out from under them. Like, none of that. I don't get with that at all. So I'm an anomaly in that community, because the beer community, for some reason, tends to be very cynical and very asshole-ish. So, but by being a ninja in the community and not really saying anything politically one way or another and just remaining neutral, I'm able to build these trading friendships. And if they don't talk politics, I'm not going to talk politics. And usually, like 99% of the time, that shit never comes up. So it's just about beer at that point. So you just kind of got to establish yourself online. And if you kind of learn how to shop for good beer, like I'll kind of do a video series on that too. Look for the stuff that people want all around the country. You can just kind of peruse forums and stuff and just see ISO, like in search of, and just see, some people are just in search of crazy stuff. Like, oh, it's released on a Wednesday in the middle of the year, in the middle of the day, and you have to stand in line for their, like, I don't play that. But I will trade stuff that is like a limited release that comes out on a shelf. And oftentimes, traders who trade stuff like this, which is still fantastic stuff from a brewery that I could never get to, probably, is willing to trade for. And you will find some people that are extremely lax in their trading. So that's what I search for. If somebody's looking for a whale, like, I'm like, Splitsville, dude, like, I don't want anything to do with you, because you're just gonna bitch about my box anyways. If the IPA was brewed more than 3 days ago, you're gonna bitch about it. Seriously, no, I don't deal with that either. So at this point, you could say I'm being snobby, but I choose not to participate and associate myself with those types of people. So I'm getting onto a totally new video series here in this video, and I wasn't intending that at all. But I will touch on that much later. But Trillium is definitely something you should try to trade for. Good beer overall. So, conservative beer review drinker right here. Proud of my stance as being a conservative. To be totally crass, I'm not that stupid to be a liberal. I'm not that stupid to be a liberal. That's the only reason I'm not a liberal. I have a bleeding heart. I care for people. But I have frickin' common sense, people, because I know that consequences have actions, and those lead to even worse things. Fall of a nation doesn't happen in a day. And so I think us as conservatives, we see that there's consequences for actions, and those actions breed the fall of a nation if we go the wrong way. So, like I said, conservative beer review drinker here. So, conservative beer drinker here. I'm not ashamed of it. I love my country. I love my freedom. I love guns. I love to eat bacon and meat and steak. If you want to go vegan, that's your business. Just don't tell me to go vegan, because I'm going to tell you where you can shove it. And I have Christian values. Even though I drink a lot of beer, I believe that God has created things for us to enjoy. And if you're a Satanist, you can go take a freaking hike, because I don't like you already. And that's just kind of my soapbox moment. This is where I stand, and this is what I do. And so I realize that I'm a rarity. I'm an anomaly. There's not many conservatives who drink craft beer and like to experiment a lot. And that goes hand in hand with our world viewpoint, which is, if something works, you don't fix it. But the fault in that, the tiny little fault in that, is there are lots of things in this world to experience. It's kind of like saying, I mean, for years, I never left the Midwest because there's really nothing wrong with here except for the weather. But then the first time that I went to an island, I was just blown away. It changed me. And so I think in life, you really should experience new things as much as possible. And if they change you, great. If they don't change you, whatever. It's life. It's made for enjoying. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's our viewpoint, and that's what we like to do, and that's the way we look at things. And that's why I think craft beer drinkers are mostly liberal, because they're always trying to change stuff. They can never just let something be. And conservative beer drinkers are like Bud, Coors, whatever, till I die, because it works for them. They work a long day, they come home, they drink that. Why should I be drinking this shit? Because I like my Busch Light and whatever, and that's fine. I'm not going to slam you for it. I know why you drink it. I just wish that you would be more open to tastier stuff that really challenges your palate and helps you grow, and you might find something that's just amazing. And so I understand that. So I'm an anomaly. I love trying new things. As far as beer and food and wines and cheeses and things like that, I love trying them. It's fantastic. Variety is the spice of life. But there are certain things that, yes, if they ain't broke, don't fix it. So, eat your guns. I just said it again. So, eat meat. Keep your guns. For the love of God, try some new beer. Love you guys. Cheers.